very important. Harshad Mehta. Okay? Next, check dishonor, money laundering, transactions defrauding the creditors. China has got two. One is Shanghai Stock Exchange, the other is Shenzhen Stock Exchange. The way India also has two. Entity will control the economic landscape of my country. So my regulatory job will get jeopardized. Stop him. This Sensex is not the complete representation of the 5,000 companies. No, it is only the representation of 30 most valued companies on the index of Bombay Stock Exchange. Very important. World Economic Outlook report by one of our important organizations called IMF. Okay? About the Competition Commission of India, it is a statutory body established in 2002. So it is older than NAA. It is older than NAA. It was launched with the objective of preventing practices by companies which have an adverse effect on competition like cartelization and to ensure freedom of trade. So the entire aim of NAA and the CCI is completely different. The CCI is not a price regulator but a referee to ensure fair market practices in a competing trade environment. Also Google about, please make a box, write Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Act, MRTP Act. MRTP Act, you should be knowing about this. The MRTP Act, Monopoly Restrictive Trade Practices Act, MRTP Act. Okay? Now, this is again important. The CCI, the Competition Commission of India, has a clear appellate mechanism which appeals at the first level to the NCL, National Company Law Appellate Tribunal, and thereafter directly to the Supreme Court. High Court is not there in the middle. Understand this. Any order passed by the Competition Commission of India, if you have objection to that particular order, you can go and appeal at the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal. And if you are not satisfied even with the findings of this, then you can directly go to the Supreme Court. So this is the what you call appellate mechanism in the Competition Commission of India. Very important. Article number 14, SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India. In news, after RBI, the entity which is mostly in news is your SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India. What is this exchange? What is this securities? Who can explain? Let me see if you can explain what is this securities. Huh? Shares. Somebody says shares are securities. SARFAESI Act है ना, securitization and what is this securitization means? Monetization. The 100 rupee note that you have in the pocket, its face value is 100 rupees, but its intrinsic value may be only 2 rupees. The cost of making that, the value is 2 rupees only, but the face value is 100 rupees. What have you done? You have monetized it. You told that this value is 100. The shares that they give you, the value of share is 100 rupees or 200 rupees or 2000 rupees or 20,000 rupees, because somebody has given value to that share. They have done securitization. It means they have given value. When a share is given a value, it is called securitization. And I am talking about exchange because it need not be in one hand only. It can be in any number of hands also. See, understand, the economists, the economic players, they know the art of giving value to something and selling it as a product. Understand, these people are very intelligent people. Bank. Housing loan is the biggest farce in the economy. They have forcefully created this product and forced everybody to take a loan. Understand this. What? Understand, any father, मतलब elderly father, दो ही एम है, बच्ची की शादी करना है, घर बनाना है. यस और नो? बच्ची की शादी करना है, सोसाइटी का दिया हुआ टेंशन. ये कहीं पे नहीं लिखा है that the father is responsible to get the daughter married. It has not been written anywhere, but in the society it has now been understood that the father is responsible for the daughter's marriage. This same way, banks created a liability and an asset out of a liability, saying that if you have not taken housing loan, you are missing something in your life. So they created a product and intelligently sold this product to you. Understand, see, these people can bring value to anything and take out value out of anything. Understand this dimension. So in this SEBI securities, see, you will laugh when I'll tell you how the history of stock broking happened in India. People sat under a banyan tree and started selling shares. 5 people started this. Now today it is just see what is the size of your SEBI today. What is the size of share trading that is happening in your country? Not much far, 1875. 4-5 लोग मिलके पेड़ के नीचे they decided, चलो let's do some trading activity. So it became such a big this thing. Today in BSC, Bombay Stock Exchange, more than 5,000 company shares are listed, sold, purchased and all. And in NSE, National Stock Exchange, more than 1,600 companies sales are sold. You hear about this Sensex, no? SCNSEX. Who can explain what is the Sensex? Who can explain what is the Sensex? क्या हो गया? इंटरव्यू में पूछा जाएगा व्हाट इज ए सेंसेक्स. बोले सर एनीथिंग व्हिच इज सेंसेशनल इज सेंसेक्स. अ कंपनी. You have a BSC Sensex, no? What is the value of Sensex today? BSC closed at. हम इकोनॉमी से कितने दूर है ना, कोई लेना देना ही नहीं है. NSC से कितने दूर है, वो लेना से. ओनली रमेश सिंह मीन्स इकोनॉमी एंड इट क्लोजेस देयर. हाँ, वी आर डेड टू आवर एनवायरनमेंट, सराउंडिंग्स, प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर UPSC इन आइसोलेशन, हाइबरनेशन मोड. एक केव बना लिया अपने आसपास, कुछ भी नहीं पढ़ना है. इफ आई आस्क यू व्हाट इज द गोल्ड रेट, व्हाट इज द एग रेट, ये सब पेपर में आता है ना, है ना. एग रेट आता है, गोल्ड रेट आता है, सिल्वर रेट आता है, बुलियन रेट आता है, डायमंड रेट आता है, डिपेंड्स ऑन द कैरेट, सो मेनी थिंग्स. BSC is talking about 30 companies, no? I told more than 5,000 companies listed in the BSC. The top 30 companies share value, capital worth on that particular day combined is what is your Sensex. This Sensex is not the complete representation of the 5,000 companies. No, it is only the representation of 30 most valued companies on the index of Bombay Stock Exchange. Why this Sensex is followed is, if these 30 top companies are performing well, it is understood remaining 4,970 companies are also performing well. If they are not performing, if the Sensex is falling, it means best of the performing companies are falling. If the best of the companies are falling, automatically 4,900 and other 70 companies are also falling. And NSE, may the index which is very famous is called Nifty 50, NIFTY 5050. The way Sensex is for BSC, the same way Nifty 50 is for NSE, National Stock Exchange, where around 1600 plus companies are listed. Understand, to control everybody, all these companies, the value of shares, when to call for shares, how the share buying is happening, the price mechanism, where from money is coming, all these control definitions are coming under the entity called SEBI. That is why Securities and Exchange Board of India, any document which has been given a share value, any share that has been given a value will come under the definition of securities being traded. It could be currency derivative, it could be what you call debt instrument, it could be equity instrument, it could be a derivative instrument, it could be what you call exchange traded fund, ETF equipment, it could be anything. How many of you did not understand anything what I spoke in the last 30 seconds? Be very okay, Gautami, you don't have to. हाँ, इक्विटी और डेट में क्या फर्क है? इक्विटी एंड डेट में क्या फर्क है? व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन इक्विटी एंड डेट? इक्विटी इज equity is ownership of the company, debt has got no ownership of the company. तुमको बेसिक्स नहीं पता है, प्रीलिम्स लिखने जा रहे हो सर ऊंचा करके, कटवा के आओगे नीचा करके. इक्विटी गिव्स यू ओनरशिप, debt gives you right over that loan that you are giving, that's all. You do not have any rights in the company. Understand what is the difference between debt instrument and mutual fund? What is a mutual fund? What is a mutual fund? What is mutual about mutual fund? Pooling money from
set of investors and investing in the market.
what is a fund? FUND. मैंने रॉन्ग तार छेड़ दिए, मुझे पता है. आई हैव टच द रॉन्ग स्ट्रिंग. व्हाट इज अ फंड? FUND. फंड के दो मीनिंग है. दिस इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड फंड्स. इट हैज अनदर मीनिंग फंड. बास्केट ऑफ सिक्योरिटीज, different securities can be called a fund. Mutual fund, that's what she is saying, trying to say. I create a mutual fund, some shares from petroleum sector, some shares from banking sector, some shares from some other sector. I club them under one common entity. I will call it a mutual fund. Mutually agreed to create one fund with a particular definition. The same way, there are something known as index funds, INDEX, where the entire performance of an index, BSE is an index, Bombay Stock Exchange is an index, entire performance of the Bombay Stock Exchange is traded. Tomorrow the Bombay Stock Exchange, entire 5000 will end up like this, trading happens. NSE index, entire NSE, National Stock Exchange, is traded as one product. Okay, tomorrow the National Stock Exchange will go here, will come down, will fall flat. All these dimensions is called indexed funds, INDEX, index funds, mutual funds. ये एग्जाम में आएगा, इंडेक्स फंड लिखो. Economy is not easy, ठीक है, and mostly people from BTech background will find it difficult because some technical jargon is there. SEBI is trying to control everything. Now, if it has to control everything, firstly it should know what all these things are, yes or no? So what SEBI does is, it will regulate the entire market giving instructions. So that is why it is called a regulatory body. SEBI is a regulatory body. What it is regulating? The securities and exchange on the indexes, whether it is BSE, whether it is NSE or any other index for that matter. Okay? Now, to protect the interests of investors in securities, to regulate the securities market. This is the responsibility of SEBI, established in the year. It was present before also. It got statutory status because through an act of the parliament in the year 1992. 1992 it got the statutory status. I want all of you take 15 minutes time, make a box, Harshad Mehta case. 15 minutes lo, ज़्यादा मत, don't go too deep, but try to find out what went wrong. Harshad Mehta case. Harshad Mehta case. Not now, once you go back home. Because SEBI is in news, I thought a question might come in prelims related to its structure. There is, huh? No, it is not a judgmental case. Harshad Mehta case, he did some fraud in the securities market. So, our case enti karukko, not a court case. It later became a court case, but I am asking you to Google about what fraud Harshad Mehta did, because that fraud also happened in this time period only, 93-94. Okay? Understood. Now, the structure of the what you call SEBI is, there is one chairman who is appointed by the government of India, that is the central government. One board member is coming from RBI, because banking is one of the important channels of exchange of money. So, one board member is coming from RBI and two board members are coming from Ministry of Finance. Very important, because overall responsibility of the entire economic landscape of the country is Ministry of Finance, and 5 board members who are elected by the central government of India. So, one chairman and 5 members are coming from central government, two are coming from Ministry of Finance, one is coming from RBI. So, 1 plus 2, 3, 3 plus 5, 8 and 1 chairman. This is the SEBI, this is the structure, or what you call the structure of SEBI. Now, we will go into the exchanges. National Stock Exchange. What is the National Stock Exchange? The National Stock Exchange of India is the India's largest financial market. It is India's largest financial market, incorporated in 1992. Now, when they will ask you a question, who brought electronic trading first, it is the National Stock Exchange. Though BSC is the oldest. BSC is the oldest stock exchange, not only in India, entire Asia. पूरे एशिया का BSC happens to be the oldest stock exchange, but the modern electronic trading happened first in the NSE, right? It incorporated 1992. The NSE has developed into a sophisticated electronic market which ranked 4th in the world by equity trading volume. Very, very important word. Equity trading volume. This is very important. When we see the difference between NSE and BSC, we will come to this word. We will come back to this word equity. NSE is the largest private wide area network in India. Whatever its network, it is the widest in the India. The Nifty 50 is the flagship index on the National Stock Exchange. I spoke about this. The 50 top performing companies in the stock exchange, their shares combined capital worth is called Nifty 50. Okay? When you go back home, Google Nifty 50. What is the value? In crores is the value of the shareholding of those companies. Okay? Now, the index tracks the behavior of portfolio of blue chip companies, the largest and the most liquid Indian securities. What is the meaning of liquid here? Traded. They are traded. Okay? It includes 50 of the approximately 1600 companies listed on the National Stock Exchange. What are these blue chip? What is the meaning of this blue chip? Best performing countries are called blue chip. Like, you know, a share of SBI is known to be a blue chip company share. It means the shares cost of the shares will not vary too much, okay? These are called blue chips. Generally, if you want to invest in the long term, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years down the line, it is always advised to invest in the blue chip companies. And if you invest in blue chip companies through something known as SIPs, systematic investment plan, over a long period of time, it is said that you will get lot of returns, and the rate of returns over a period of time can be anywhere between 30 to 50 and 60% returns also, but there is a time gap that you need to wait for. Bombay Stock Exchange, older than NSE, time दिया 1875, है established in 1875, older than NSE, National Stock Exchange. Around 5,000 companies are what you call listed on this particular this thing. Even today, it is the 10th largest stock exchange in the world. Today, Bombay Stock Exchange is the 10th largest stock exchange in the world, and NSE is the 11th largest stock exchange in the world through market capitalization. Market capitalization का मतलब the value of cumulative shares per share value of the entire companies that are listed in the stock exchange is called market capitalization. Okay? Also the 10th oldest in the world, oldest in Asia, and also the 10th oldest. What are they doing? Securities exchange is happening on the Bombay Stock Exchange. There is a slide. Stock exchange. Okay, the 10th. Who is there? Your Bombay Stock Exchange, India. And after this 11th position pe you have New York Stock Exchange, 2 Nasdaq and New York Stock Exchange, both from United States of America. Then you have the Japanese Tokyo Stock Exchange. This China has got 2. One is Shanghai Stock Exchange, the other is Shenzhen Stock Exchange. The way India also has 2, BSE and NSE, China also has 2. Then Hong Kong is another stock exchange. We are considering Hong Kong not to be part of China as of now, but in future obviously it will be part of China. Euronext is one in the Eurozone. London Stock Exchange is United Kingdom. Canada has got Toronto Stock Exchange. These are the stock exchanges of the world. Maybe some match the following question may come. The most important difference between the two. Who will tell? Last point. The most important that will be missing there. It is mostly debt instruments, mutual funds and currency derivatives. But here you will also have equities. That is what differentiates majorly the Bombay Stock Exchange and the NSE, National Stock Exchange, where equities are also traded. Here equities are not traded, it is only the debt instrument. Basically, they are the loan givers. The companies where listing, people are buying the shares and all basically as giving loan with an intention to give loan, not take ownership. But here it is ownership. The company is listed on the National Stock Exchange. That's how this is important. Try to understand this. Okay? This is self-explanatory, but as I told you, 1600 companies, more than 5000 companies. NSE stock index, Nifty 50 gives the top 50 stocks. Sensex gives the top 30 ka stock market. Okay? This is what it is different. Recognized as a stock exchange in 1993. Recognized as a stock exchange in 1957. The time frames are important and the capacity is important. Okay? The number of companies are less, but the volume of trade is more. The market capitalization is high because the number of companies are market capitalization, overall value of the shares. That is why 10th position. That is why. But because of the equity factor, more trade happens here. but value happens more here.
financial market in India.
Best, बेस्ट नहीं बोल सकते, हाँ बोलते ना ट्रेडिंग इन मार्केट फाइनेंस इज सब्जेक्टेड टू मार्केट रिस्क, प्लीज रीड द ऑफर डॉक्यूमेंट केयरफुली बिफोर इन्वेस्टिंग. सो बेस्ट तो फ्रॉम द वॉल्यूम्स, वॉल्यूम में लीड इसका है बिकॉज ऑफ द इक्विटी डायमेंशन कमिंग इनटू प्ले. सी अंडरस्टैंड, not everybody is investing to just make profits. Some people are there, big players who are investing for ownership. So that is how this is most what you call strongly fielded. So NSE is more vibrant than BSC. Number of companies are more, but the vibrancy is not here because it is basically a debt instrument, mutual funds and currencies. But here the moment equity is what? IPO. The moment initial public offer comes, it is ownership stakes, no? Everything is happening here, that is silent, udhar kuch nahi ho raha. So understand this basic difference. Because of the existence of equity, ownership stakes, this is more vibrant, this is not that less, it is not that vibrant. So that is how lower volumes of trade. If you want to, on basis of that, if you want to call it best, yes, it is the most active you can say other than best. Okay? हाँ, AC, so see, AT and C. What is AT? Huh? What is AT? AT and C, aggregate technical and commercial losses. हाँ, नंबर क्या है? What is the number? हाँ, 15, 17 हो गया. Okay, good. हाँ,
Can a single company give its shares in both APPSC and BSC?
come again.
Can a single company be a part of both NSE?
If that company has got equity shares to be sold, it cannot be here. If a company has debt shares to be sold, it can be here. But see, understand, being in two success, what are you getting? कुछ मिल रहा है? What is company getting? Will it so happen you are taking coaching foundation here also and somewhere else also? मतलब एक दिन इधर आएगा, एक दिन उधर जाएगा, depending on the crowd. No, right? There is no point. See, people are here for, companies are here so that they can get capital, no, debt capital, mutual fund capital. If you are in both the places, does not mean you will get capital from both the places. जिसको इन्वेस्ट तुम्हारे कंपनी में करना है, whether you are here, if you are giving equity rights, he'll come here. If you are giving debt rights, if you want to be there, you can be there. But if you are more wanting to play more vibrantly, you will generally be here. यहाँ पे आराम से बैठ के debt capital, ठीक है? Yeah, AT and C, aggregate technical and commercial losses. Technical and commercial losses. Understand this. It is combination of energy loss, that is technical loss, plus theft, plus inefficiency in billing, and commercial loss is basically default in payment plus inefficiency in collection. So these are the two problems of discoms, basically the discoms. Okay? Now this, the AT and C has been in news for the last 4-5 years. Continuously this dimension of your article has been in news for the last 4-5 years, because for some reasons the discom companies are not able to completely get what they have invested in. Understand this. What it says, the ACS ARR. The term ACS means average cost of supply, per unit of power, and ARR means average revenue realized. If there is a gap between the cost and the revenue realized, it is nothing but your, if the cost of electricity generation per unit is 6 rupees, and if you are realizing a revenue of only 5 rupees 50 paise, it means per unit of power produced you have a loss of 50 paise. You have a loss of 50 paise, right? The government has taken various steps to minimize the difference between the ACS and ARR. The gap between ACS and ARR should be as minimum as possible. Understand? When there will be a gap between the two, ACS and ARR, he is explaining here. It is a combination of energy loss, technical loss, theft, inefficiency in billing. In India, mostly it is theft, and this theft they are counting under technical loss. Please understand this. They are counting under technical loss. One more dimension that they are what you call counting under is your inefficiency in billing. What do you understand by inefficiency in billing? Not collection. He is not talking about collection. Collection is coming under commercial loss. Inefficiency in billing, what does it mean? You are not able to count the number of units exhausted by a customer correctly. It is called inefficiency in billing. So the technical loss, the theft and the inefficiency in billing, he is putting under the technical loss, and the default in payment, inefficiency in collection, he is putting under the commercial loss. Now he is saying the gap has to be minimum. If the gap is not 0, it means that DISCOM company is under loss. And the biggest reason why the DISCOM companies are generally under loss is because of the see, understand this logically. The DISCOM company is not giving electricity to the farmer free of cost. He is not giving. He is taking that money from you, because you are the segment of population who will pay for the electricity. If he has produced 100 units, if in that 100 units 40 units have gone to agriculture and 60 units have come to you, when he is supposed to take only 60 rupees charge from you, because you are the paying segment, he is not charging you for 60, he is charging you for 100, because per price unit he is taking into account what he is giving him also. And the government tries to lower this burden on me instead of 60, 100 by giving some money to the DISCOMs. So this is how the government tries to motivate these people to continue creating power. If they do not create power, we will be in dark. The entire economic growth engine will come to a grinding halt if there is a power loss. So understand, these people have technical loss and also commercial loss. Now we will understand why it is in news. Now the Ujjwal Bharat, Ujjwal Bhavishya power at 2047, please make a note. Ujjwal Bharat, Ujjwal Bhavishya 2047 is 100 years of India's independence. Event took place in July as part of the transformation in the power sector achieved in the last 8 years. Why this 8 years? Because Modi came to power in 2014. So he feels that whatever has happened only in the last 8 years. Nothing has happened before that. India got independence in 2014. That's what they feel. Okay? Chalo. Now central bank digital currency, topic number 18. Most important thing, because this is in news. So the question, if at all comes, it will come from a very tricky statement. Please understand this. Central bank digital currency is a pilot launched by RBI and retail segment, has components based on blockchain technology. Please, components based on the blockchain technology, similar to your cryptocurrency. similar to your cryptocurrency. That is one dimension. Second is it is exchangeable one to one with the fiat currency. What is the fiat currency? The notes that we have with us is a fiat currency, the currency whose value is determined based on somebody's promise to pay is called a fiat currency, not intrinsic. In history you would have heard, no, the Kushanas were the first to have gold coins and all those things. The gold had intrinsic value of exchange, but the note does not have a intrinsic value of exchange. That is why it is called a fiat currency. It is also called token currency. In clubs, when you go, you are supposed to deposit. The club means casino. When you go to a casino, you cannot take your money on the table and play. You have to exchange that currency with the tokens at the reception and take the tokens and go to the table and play. So that is how it is called. It is basically fiat currency. That's why it is also called token currency, right? Now it will be an electronic version of the cash. It will be primarily meant for very important word, retail transactions, not for bulk transactions, not for bulk transactions. See, understand the agenda. What is the agenda? What is the main goal of the CBDC? One is digitalization, second is reducing the dependence on, because the fiat currency has a cost of printing, cost of transportation, cost of security, cost of circulation, then again coming cost of destruction, again cost of printing. So this entire cost cycle they want to negate. ये सब हमसे नहीं होगा, because in lower denomination currencies this signorage is very less. Understand this word signorage. See, if I am printing a 10 rupee note, maybe the cost of printing a 10 rupee note is say approximately 2 rupees, and the cost of printing a 100 rupees note is 2 rupee 50 paise. It is benefited for the government to print 100 rupees or 10 rupees, because it is able to generate more income, more money from the same note, only denomination change. So over a period of time, the long run interest of the government is to completely remove, in some ways to completely remove the lower denomination currency and only have maybe 500 or 100 or 200 rupees note in the market. Rest all should be digital, so that the cost of printing, safeguarding, transportation, again bringing back, destruction, again printing, all this cost can be taken care of. So that is why they are talking about retail transaction. It will be potentially available for use by all, which includes the private sector, non-financial consumers and businesses. Non-financial consumers, please Google about them. Non-financial consumers, please Google about them. Non-financial entities बोल के रहेगा. Non-financial entities. Who are the category of these people? Tomorrow I will ask any one of you. It will be able to provide access to safe money for payment and settlement. Yes, it will be the direct liability of the central bank. Please make a note of this. This will be the direct liability of the central bank. చేస్తున్నారు కదా. See, that's what I am saying. It will take time. That is why it is long term, because it has got something to do with digitization. Digitization, something to do with internet connectivity, something to do with education, something to do with literacy, something to do with cost. You have to have a smartphone in some ways. So it will take long time. చేయమైంది అందులో. We are doing it even now, right? We are doing it even now. In temples where the mobile phones are allowed inside, they have understood this. There is no need that you have to put physically 1 rupee coin only. You can send digitally 1 rupee coin. Right? To understand this type. You don't have to be, God is not sentimental. Did God ask you money? Somebody else asked you. Why are you sentimental about it? Pay it digitally. You want to pay, no worries. Okay? It will take time. That's what I am saying. In the retail segment, it is not replacing your fiat. Did I say it is replacing your fiat currency? That's why it is saying it is the same as a fiat currency and is exchangeable one to one. If you give me 10 rupees in CBDC, I can give you 10 rupees note. It is exchangeable with fiat currency also. So if I am giving you that right, exchangeable, and I am giving the direct responsibility to, liability to the central bank. In the fiat currency 100 rupees note, the direct responsibility is not central bank. It is the bank where you have an account. Understand this. But in CBDC, to bring in that confidence in the people, the central bank directly took the liability. Central bank directly took the liability. Okay? Please underline this word. It is a legal tender and a central bank liability in digital form denominated in a sovereign currency and appearing on the central bank's balance sheet. It appears on the central bank's balance sheet because it is central bank's direct liability. It can be converted or exchanged at par with similarly denominated cash and traditional central bank deposits also. So if you want to deposit say 10,000 in some bank, central bank, for some reasons, instead of cash you can use the CBDC also to deposit. Okay? Fiat money, it is a government issued currency that is not backed by a commodity such as gold. It gives central banks greater control over the, understand the power dimension of issue of currency. By the controlling the power of issuing currency, you are controlling the entire economy indirectly. The moment you want to tighten the economy, you will control the money supply. The moment you want to open the economy, means free the economy, you will release the money supply. It means it is not only transactional value, it has got a control value also. So the banks, central banks and the government, that is the reason why in India cryptocurrency did not get legal status, because there is no mechanism to centrally control that particular product. In this backdrop, European Union came with a what you call solution called EISA, something like that. European Union gave its green signal to cryptocurrency, no? MICA, something like that. What is the recent law of European Union on cyber security, cryptocurrency? अरे हिंदू में एडिटोरियल में 3 दिन आया, टेक्स्ट एंड कंटेक्स्ट में 2 दिन आया. European Union, European Central Bank had brought in guidelines related to cryptocurrency. They have legalized it. They are the first international financial institutions who brought in some regulatory guidelines related to cryptocurrency in the world. So maybe matter of time we will also do. What was the name of the cryptocurrency of Facebook? बॉक्स बनाओ. क्रिप्टो करेंसीज इन न्यूज़ लास्ट 1 ईयर. कहाँ से वो करेंसी आ रहा है, किसका है? लिब्रा, फेसबुक. वहीं से ट्रिगर हुआ सब, बिकॉज इंडिया हैज़ अ स्ट्रॉन्ग बेस ऑफ फेसबुक अकाउंट्स. द मोमेंट दिस फेलो लॉन्च्ड दिस क्रिप्टो करेंसी, द गवर्नमेंट गॉट सरप्राइज्ड. अरे भैया, सो मच ऑफ बेस ऑफ फेसबुक. इट मीन्स अ पैरेलल entity will control the economic landscape of my country. So my regulatory job will get jeopardized. Stop him. So that is how the crypto See, India on cryptocurrency did not have a clear mandate. Nirmala Sitharaman, for some reasons, she has not been able to understand the dynamics. Earlier we said 30% tax, then suddenly one day morning we said it is illegal. If it is illegal, how can you take 30% tax? It is like I murdering Pawan and saying this is 2 crore rupees I got as ransom, please take tax whatever you want, remaining deposit in my account. So it cannot happen like that. So our stand on cryptocurrency has been a confused stand, we can say confused stand. Okay? So this is about fiat currency, very important in news. Again, municipal bonds. I hope you know the difference between bond ka yield and price. Inverse relationship, bond and yield. If time permits, tomorrow I will talk about this bond and yield inverse relationship. One in your paper, prelims paper, BOND, bond derivative, DERIVATIVE, dollar, ये 3 words 100% रहेगा. Where from the question come, in what dimension they will ask is a big question mark, but bond will be there in your paper, prelims paper. So anything related to bonds, sovereign bonds, green bonds, blue bonds, oil bonds, all type of bonds, please read them carefully. A question will come from the bonds. Municipal bond, very important. Municipal bond is a debt instrument. With me, bond is a debt instrument. Debt is something called as loan. Can I be very simple? It's a loan instrument. If you issue a bond, people will purchase that bond, and that money you will take as a loan, which has to be repaid with interest over a period of time. Hello, with me? So it is called bond. Now, in India, the bond market did not develop well the way it developed in Western countries and European. See, two dimensions Indian market did not adopt from West. One is the bond market, second is the discounting of bills. This did not happen in India. Say, for example, you did a government contract ka work, you are a contractor, you did a government contract work, the contract work value was 3 crore rupees. Just an example. I am trying to explain you how the discounting of bills happen. Listen to this. Now you know that you have done 3 crores worth business with the government. Government generally does not falter in payment. It may delay, but it will not generally falter. But the government said, boss, you have completed the work perfectly, but I can pay you only after 3 months. Because you are a business person, you cannot wait for 3 months because you have next project in hand and you do not have money. So what do? You discount this bill with a third party. You would tell the third party, do one thing, from this 3 crores, 10 lakhs you keep. You give me 2,90,000. After 3 months you take this 3 crores from the government. I have no problem, 10 lakhs your profit, but give me 2 crores 90 lakhs immediately. I have one more project to do. So this is called discounting of bills. This market did not develop in India for some reasons. We will not get into that. This is one dimension. And second is bond. Bond is a medium to raise money from the market. Medium to raise, we told shares. Now the difference between shares and bonds is, in bonds you are not giving ownership rights to the person who is purchasing this bond. For example, Vijay Mallya says, now that my Kingfisher is successful, now my breweries business is successful, I want to get into Bisleri water bottle business, for example, assumption. But he does not have money. He says, instead of raising money from the stock market where I have to give the ownership rights, let me go and issue some bonds. Now, if Vijay Mallya is issuing a bond, because, understand this dimension clearly, at the same time, government also issued bond. We'll just for the exam, what you call understanding point of view, I am saying. Government says, I will give you 10% returns. Vijay Mallya says, I will give you 25% returns. Same time, the bond release date is announced. The public will buy whose bonds? Government. Because because of the guarantee of payment. Because of the guarantee of payment, the public is ready to forego that variation in the 15% of interest rate which Vijay Mallya is willing to pay. But not everybody is so clever like you. Some are idiots like me also. बोला विजय मल्ल्या क्या हो यार कहीं नहीं जाएगा अच्छा आदमी है 15% let risk. So people may take the risk and take the bonds given by some corporate entities also. ऐसा नहीं है. So that is how over a period of time he will raise money from the market directly. But for some reasons in India these two markets did not develop well. The first and the foremost reason for this bond market not doing well in India is because of the conservative nature of the economy. We are not aggressive players in the economy. Understand this. The aggressiveness in the economy is coming nowadays in last 3 to 4 or 5 years. Earlier the business people were seen with a very negative eye. The moment business means, the parents will say, no business, Ujjogam jai, ni savu nu jau. This is what the parents used to say. But now the parents are encouraging their kids also to venture into business because of the change in the mindset which is coming over a period of time. So maybe in future the bond market may also improve, but not immediately, Now coming to the municipal bond. Now the same way as a business entity was wanting money, maybe a municipal authority may also want money. GHMC, the Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation, is also an entity, a legal entity. It may also need funds to do, construct new roads, maybe to do some gardening, greenery in the city. So these people can also raise money through issue of bonds, because GHMC, it is a statutory body, a semi-government kind of a institution. The confidence of the people in GHMC would be higher. So whenever these municipal bonds, a municipal bond or muni bond is a debt instrument issued by a municipal corporation. Two important words, debt instruments or associated bodies in India. It is called a municipal bond. The funds raised are used to finance socio-economic development projects in India. Like this, for the first time in 1997, Bangalore Local Body for Infrastructure Development Projects, 4 years after the decentralization of the powers and authorities to the municipal bodies by the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, 73-74, yeah, this 73 and 74. After that, for the first time, Bangalore, issued the first municipal bonds. Very, very important from prelims perspective. Municipal bonds are exempted from tax provided the buyer adheres to the rules laid by the municipal corporation. The buyer adheres to the rules laid by the municipal corporation. The interest is also exempted from the taxes. This is important from prelims perspective. Okay, the interest and the whatever earnings that you have earned, the interest through the bond, because bond is a debt instrument, you will have a interest that you will earn. You will not get share in the profit of GHMC. You will only get interest to the amount of bonds that you have purchased from the GHMC. Okay. Now the SEBI has given certain guidelines related to municipal bonds. The municipal body should not have a history of defaulting at repayments of loans. It should not have a history of defaulting at the repayment of loans or debt instruments acquired from financial institutions in the past year. If in the last 1 year you have defaulted on some payments related to some financial institutions debt obligations, you cannot issue a municipal bond. It should possess a positive net worth in all the 3 years preceding the issuance of municipal bonds. In the last 3 years, you should not have been in losses, you should have a positive net worth. Very importantly, such municipal entity, its group company or directors and promoters shall not be mentioned in the willful defaulters list published by RBI. Very, very important. The willful defaulters list is published by RBI, the Reserve Bank of India. So the group company, the directors or the promoters, their name should not have been mentioned in the willful defaulters. If they satisfy all these 3 conditions, any municipal corporation can issue municipal bonds, which are debt instruments. Okay? So what is a bond and all? We have already spoken about this. Next, fugitive economic offenders. Fugitive economic offenders. Okay? Fugitive economic offenders. Yeah. Anybody wants to ask something? Dayakar. Too long a session for economy? Time is short, right? So we'll have to endure this pain and agony till 6 o'clock at least. Okay? 2 to 6 है ना class? The class is from 2 to 6, right? Okay. Don't worry, it is equally painful for me to stand for 4 hours and talk for my age, 42 plus now. Chalo. Now, why we are calling them offenders? Why we are calling them offenders? Why we are calling them offenders? What is the reason? Because they are evading. Evading what? Repayment, evading prosecution. Very important. They are evading prosecution. Prosecution means by the law. Something has to be, an action has to be taken against them, and they are running away from that action. Try to find out why all the idiots are landing here. Not only from India, from across the globe, people go to this place. Why? Huh? To?
If they pay money, they will give their citizenship.
No. Huh? Repatriation policy, okay. Repatriation policy, that's what he's saying. More than that, these people give certain amount of money to the local municipal authorities there, because the moment you give that money to them, they will ensure that no disciplinary or no legal action is initiated against you there. They will give you entire support possible to avoid your deportation to the country that is claiming you as a fugitive economic offender, and whatever legal protection you want, you will get from that state there only. That is the reason why even if the proceedings have to start, you will be made to stay there only and attend all the proceedings, just because you have given money to that particular authority. Okay? Now, the Fugitive Economic Offenders Act 2000, why only 2018? Why only 18? Vijay Mallya is the reason? Only Vijay Mallya is the reason? Nirav Modi is only the reason? No. Huh? Tomorrow, Yes Bank is in trouble. There is a bank by name Yes Bank. Okay, it is in trouble. Remind me, tomorrow we will discuss what is the trouble. Anybody? What is the trouble? 81 bonds, no? Additional tier 1 bonds or something like that. What are these additional tier 1 bonds? सर इतना इकोनॉमी नहीं आता है, जितना आता है उतना पूछो, उससे ज़्यादा मत पूछो. ठीक है, ये छोटा छोटा टॉपिक्स पूछो. व्हाट इज टैक्स बायोंसी, हम बता देंगे. व्हाट इज इंटरेस्ट ग्रोथ डिफरेंशियल, छोटा छोटा टॉपिक पूछो, हम बता देंगे. बड़ा बड़ा टॉपिक मत पूछो. हाँ, व्हाट इज टैक्स बायोंसी? रश्मि. Half she is right. Tax revenue increases. Huh. In the backdrop of
GDP increases because of the contribution getting from the tax revenue.
the tax revenue increasing without any change in the rate of taxation. If your tax revenue increases from the tax without any change in the tax rate, it means your tax is buoyant. It means it is having a positive change. It means that the growth is happening. That is why, despite you not changing the interest, the GST collection is increasing, no? Month after month, अभी तो 1.5 लाख करोड़ हो गया per month. Why it is happening? Because the tax buoyancy has come into play, this set in. So that is why tax buoyancy is very important from your prelims perspective. What is the amount of GST tax collection is not important, but understanding the dimension of tax buoyancy is important. Take, chalo. Now understand, this fellow is escaping from India primarily to avoid facing criminal prosecution or refuse to return to the country to face prosecution. Not only, see, willful defaulter, fugitive economic offender, two different dimensions. Understand this. Fugitive economic offender has left your country and gone outside the country. Now you can ask, sir, who allowed him to go? Good question. So we'll have to find out who was responsible for giving him that green corridor that you can go. But some mistakes have happened, and all these people, starting from Nirav Modi to Lalit Modi to this fellow, everybody has left our country. So it means that these people are escaping to outside countries primarily to avoid facing the prosecution. Willful defaulters need not go out of the country. They are within the country. The moment willful defaulters means who have the capacity to pay but not the willingness to pay. Who have the capacity to pay but not the willingness to pay, they are called willful defaulters. And if a willful defaulter escapes the country, then he becomes a fugitive, what you call, offender. Okay? Now, a person against whom an arrest warrant has been issued for committing an offence listed in the Act, and the value of the offence is at least rupees 100 crores. There is a value level less than 100 crores, they will not even classify you as a fugitive offender. So you will have to take minimum 100 crores. Pavan, Gurtupettuko 101 aina undalu, right? Some of the offences listed in the Act are counterfeiting government stamps or currency. Please, very very important. These are all part of your fugitive economic offence. Counterfeiting currency, IPC का section क्या है, Google करो. Counterfeiting of currency, IPC section, ठीक है? Counterfeiting of currency and counterfeiting of stamps, very very important. Harshad Mehta, ठीक है? Next, check dishonor, money laundering, transactions defrauding the creditors. Any of these four are being done, then you have committed an offence of basically fugitive economic offence. ठीक है? The fugitive economic, this is important from the prelims point of view. Yeah, thoda topics are getting more deeper and deeper. Forex reserves, foreign exchange reserves, forex. Forex reserves, foreign exchange reserves, forex reserves. ठीक है? Why two countries hold it? You all spoke about this. I think I have explained this slide to you before. Forex reserves ka devaluing, two reasons. One is market intervention. The second reason was valuation loss. The valuation loss as a result of the US currency appreciating against other currencies including Indian currency. So that is how, as a result of valuation loss and as a result of market intervention, it is speaking about it. After 3 consecutive years of rise, India's foreign exchange reserves declined by around 70 billion in 22 amid rising inflation and interest rates. What is the reason? Reasons are, one of the primary reasons was valuation loss after the US dollar appreciated against major currencies in 2022. And it says, when the dollar strengthens, the valuation of other currencies vis-a-vis the US dollar currency declines, leading to a notional fall in the overall reserves position. I have explained this to you. And lastly, besides the valuation loss, the forex reserves also declined as the Reserve Bank sold dollars in the spot market to to smoothen the sudden fluctuations in the rupees movement caused by outflows from foreign investors. So these are the reasons why your forex reserves have come down. Now make a box, composition of your forex reserves. What all constitutes your forex reserves is very, very important. What all constitutes your forex reserves is very, very important. Yeah, this is again in news. Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. And who is regulating? The Ministry of Home Affairs. The FCRA, the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Basically, the receiving of foreign currency by any Indian entity is regulated by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Is regulated by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay? Now, it is a slew of new measures to regulate foreign donations. The Act first enacted in 1976. 76 means who was in power? 76. Maar padegi. Immediately after the emergency, Morarji Desai was in power, 1976, because it was felt that foreign contributions were playing an important role in manipulating the election results. So his government brought in a law called Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, FCRA. But that government did not stand for many long time, and finally Indira Gandhi came back to power. The FCRA is applicable to all association, groups and NGOs which intend to receive foreign donations. It is mandatory for all such NGOs to register themselves under the FCRA. If any NGO is wanting to receive donations in foreign currency, they have to be necessarily registered under the FCRA, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. The registration is initially valid only for 5 years and it can be renewed subsequently if they comply with all the norms. If you do not comply with any of the norm, the Ministry of Home Affairs will cancel your registration. And once the registration is cancelled, only after a gap of 3 years you can reapply for that registration again. So it's a penalty for 3 years, so that you cannot seek any foreign contribution from outside. The registered associations can receive foreign contributions for social, educational, religious, economic and cultural purposes, and most importantly India received for religious. Chesko, they will reject him. See, understand this. Why he is rejecting? For not complying with all the norms. It is not only rejection. The doors of the jail are also open. Not only rejection of receiving the money. Okay? Mandatory IT filing. Filing of annual returns on the lines of income tax is compulsory. Please make a note of that last line. Filing of IT returns is compulsory. If you are receiving foreign currency, filing of IT returns is compulsory. Certain new rules have come in 2022. Let's discuss this. What is the first rule saying? The rules giving certain relaxations, such as allowing relatives send more money under the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. If a relative is sending money to you, it is coming in the form of remittance. If it is coming in the form of remittance, it is increasing the supply of dollar in my India is the largest recipient of remittances across the world. Yes or no? Closely followed by China and Bangladesh. These are the two countries which are closely followed by India in receiving remittances. In fact, Pakistan also receives very large amount of remittances. Top 5 countries, please make a note. Google karo top 5 countries who received remittances in the year 2022. Giving more time to the organizations to inform the government about opening of bank accounts for utilization of funds received under registration or prior permission category. Understand? You cannot receive remittances in any of the banks in the country. There are certain category of banks which are only authorized to receive funds on your behalf. Basically, this is intended to have a check mechanism. If it is distributed across the entire banking network, then the check mechanism will be loose. So, certain identified, there was a time only one branch of SBI in Delhi was allowed to receive. Now they are trying to give this access to other branches also. This is basically with an intention to now allow people to get more and more dollars from outside the country. Okay, that's the intention. The threshold limit for any person to receive foreign contributions from his relatives in a financial year without informing the central government has been increased from 1 lakh to rupees 10 lakhs. So, without informing, you can receive amount of money from the outside your relatives from 1 lakh rupees to 10 lakh rupees also, right? Per annum. Okay. Time period for intimation to central government regarding receipt of foreign contribution from relatives has been increased to 3 months from earlier 30 days. Understand this logic. See, here they are saying more time to the organizations to inform the government about opening of bank accounts. Then they said the threshold limit for any person to receive foreign contribution from any of his relatives in a financial year without informing the central government has been increased from 1 lakh to 10 lakh, and time period for intimation to central government regarding receipt has increased from 30 days to 3 months. So, within 3 months now you can intimate the government, but understand this dimension. Mandatory IT filing. A question can come, which of the following can result in mandatory IT filing? The income slabs, the present income slabs, they will give some points from there. 1 point, receipt of foreign contributions from in a particular financial year. If this point is also there, the IT filing will become mandatory. So, important from your prelims perspective. So, it is 22 topic, impossible trinity. This was in news recently because we were trying to do something. That's when the America and the US basically, US is trying to say that we cannot simultaneously achieve certain things in an economy. So, because it is the word is trinity, it is talking about 3 events that cannot happen simultaneously in the economy. What it says? It refers to the idea that an economy cannot pursue independent monetary policy. So, one dimension is the monetary policy. The second is maintain a fixed exchange rate and allow the free flow of capital. It means in an economy these 3 things cannot coexist. What are these 3 things? An independent monetary policy, second is a fixed exchange rate, and third is your free flow of capital. In any economy, these 3 things cannot happen in what you call simultaneously. So, that is why it has been given a name called impossible trinity. So, in prelims a question will come, which of the possible constituents are the constituents of impossible trinity? What you call independent monetary policy, fixed exchange rate. He will say market exchange rate, but it is not market, it is fixed exchange rate. And the third is your capital, the free flow of capital across the globe. It is said that these 3 things cannot coexist in an economy. What is there in our economy? What is there in our economy? The monetary policy is there. Do we have a fixed exchange rate system? No, we have a floating exchange rate system. We do not have a fixed exchange rate system. Do we have free flow of capital across the boundary? For trade, yes, but for capital account convertibility, it is not. From the current account convertibility dimension, we have. From the current account dimension, we have, but from the capital account, it is not a complete. So that is how in India we can say we have 1.5. We can have 1.5. So this impossible trinity is basically related to this fellow. The Federal Reserve has been raising interest rates to fight the rising prices. So now they are talking with respect to which is the committee that talks about the interest rates. It is the Monetary Policy Committee with respect to India, and in US it is the Federal Reserve. So now what they are trying to say that because in America this is not there, America is also a floating exchange rate, it does not fix any exchange rate. Because America is trying to control inflation only using this method of raising interest rate, controlling the capital, it cannot happen. Why? Because in America there is a free flow of capital. So it cannot achieve the impossible trinity. That's what is the news. From the prelims perspective, only understand impossible trinity constitutes monetary policy, independent, fixed exchange rate, and third is the free flow of capital across the borders. So this will come in prelims like this only, A, B and C. Okay? Now, the Reserve Bank of India may face the dilemma of choosing between maintaining the value of the rupee and holding on to its monetary policy independence. What is the meaning? Either you can maintain the value of the rupee. How you will do? No. You cannot do. We have not taken fixed exchange rate. We have taken floating exchange rate. But we are only doing market intervention whenever required. So the RBI may face the dilemma of choosing between the maintaining the value of rupee. What is dilemma? It means that it has to primarily indulge in market intervention. It means it cannot have a fixed exchange rate and holding on to its monetary policy independence. Now what the idea is basically, in case of what you call India, the dilemma is between two. One is the monetary policy independence. Why? Because if you keep on increasing the rate, interest rate, just to contain the inflation, the interest rate is what rate? Monetary policy is doing what? What is the role of monetary policy? Price stability. When we spoke yesterday, by price stability we are doing through the policy of this thing, but at the same time we have to understand we have to maintain the parity also. So we may not be, that's the reason why your rupee and dollar fluctuation is happening, because on one side you are trying to do this, the other side you are trying to do that. So you cannot achieve a parity between these two dimensions. That is what is saying. In case of India it is a dilemma between the two, in case of America it is a dilemma of 3 dimensions. Ours is not at what you call, why? Because this we are not counting at all. This we are not counting at all because we do not allow that to happen. So in case of India the dilemma is maintaining the value of rupee and also maintaining the independence of monetary policy. This is the dilemma in respect to India. But if impossible trinity comes, this is the answer. Okay? Chalo. Next, RBI's tokenization norms. This was in news. Tokenization of what? Basically the tokenization of the cards, basically the card numbers, right? The RBI India's card on file COF tokenization norms, which will improve the safety and security of card transactions. They will give prelims में question पता है कैसे आएगा? Which of the following steps were taken in the recent past to ensure safety and security of card transactions? So they will give you card tokenization. They will give you one more option, card tokenization. Come on, card tokenization, more stricter norms for the digital wallets, regulatory, this thing for the digital wallets. One more important point, prepaid payment systems ka regulation. So they will give 3-4 points and they will give you what all RBI is doing or government is doing, and they will ask you in the option. They may not ask you what are the tokenization norms because it is difficult to frame the question. So they will fix this in one of the options and try to ask you a question related to that. As per new guidelines, online players will have to delete any debit and credit card data stored on their platforms and replace them with the token to secure card details of consumers. So wherever online card players have saved our card details on their platform, they have to delete them, convert them into token. What it says, RBI has made tokenization mandatory for all the credit and debit cards used in online, point of sale and in-app transactions. Please make a note of these three: online also, point of sales machine also, and also in-app transactions, not only online. Okay? Now, the customers will not be charged for availing the tokenization service. It means it will be a free service, right? Tokenization is basically replacement of actual card details with a unique alternate code called the token, which shall be unique for a combination of card. So once the token is given to you, that card token will be unique to you from that particular merchant perspective. That will be unique to you. Okay? Now, say for example, you start a purchase with a merchant. The merchant initiates tokenization by asking for your consent to tokenize the card. So the consent dimension is also very important. The moment you give the consent, once you give consent, it sends tokenization request to the card network. The consent may be given in the form of a message, in the form of a code that you will receive onto the number that is tagged with your card, right? Now, the card network creates a token as a proxy to the card number and sends it back to the merchant. Now, the token is being created by the card network and it is sending back to the merchant, and you approve the transaction with CVV and OTP. Again, at the time of what you call tokenization also, you are approving the transaction, giving your CVV and the one time password that will be generated, right? The merchant saves this token for subsequent transactions. It means instead of original card details, now the tokenized card details will be saved on the merchant's website for subsequent future transactions, right? For making payment to a different merchant or from a different card, tokenization needs to be done again. It means the entire tokenization, what you call dimension, is merchant based. It means if you go to another merchant, the same procedure will be followed. It means one card may have more than one token, whichever merchants you are going, that will be, say for example, initially you went to Lifestyle, then you decided to go to West Side, then you decide to go to some other store. So the merchant specific card tokenization can happen. It means a single card can have multiple tokens also. It is only that particular merchant base that tokenization is happening. Why? Because if you maintain the same tokenized details everywhere, then again that may get cheated upon, right? So that is how independent merchant will have an independent card details. Okay? Now, very important from the prelims, domestic systemically important banks, DSIBs, right? We know that there are three banks which are domestic systemically important banks. A bank which is called systemic important, why? When a bank is called systemically important? Too big to fail, that's what we use generic term, too big to fail. It means that it does not mean that it will not fail. Too big to fail, it means if it fails, it will have a cascading effect on the entire economy. It does not mean it cannot fail. Too big to fail does not mean it cannot fail. Too big to fail means it is too big. If it fails, it will have a negative effect on the economy. There are certain characteristics, we'll see about it. Now, when we talk about domestic systemically important banks, what is the agenda? Why do you want to know which bank is a domestic systemically important bank? What is the idea? Whom to safeguard? Customer. Understand, in a country like India democracy, it is the citizen, it is the customer who is at the center of decision making. Any decision that happens, these people are kept in the center. The RBI and the government feels, if at all a bank fails, the customer is at the receiving end, the negative effect will come on to the customer. I need to save my customer. It means that it said, I will identify certain banks and declare them as domestic systemically important banks, and I will force them to have additional reserves. That is the idea. Force them to have additional reserves. and for this purpose the RBI has decided 5 buckets, bucket 1, bucket 2, bucket 3, bucket 5, and it has identified 3 banks to be domestic systemically important banks. Initially State Bank of India, then afterwards HDFC and ICICI banks were added. HDFC and ICICI bank were kept in bucket 1 and SBI was kept in the bucket 3. So these, what is the difference in these buckets? We will see. How much percentage they have to keep as a provisioning norm separately, that we will see. What it says, the domestic systemically important banks are also referred to as too big to fail because of their size, cross jurisdictional activities, complexities and lack of substitute and interconnection. This is what the importance of these banks is. In other words, these banks are interconnected entities whose failure could potentially impact the entire financial system and cause instability. It says the banks whose assets cross 2% of the GDP, the banks whose assets cross 2% of the GDP of your country, assets, very important, assets not turnover, assets cross 2% of the GDP are considered domestically systemic important banks. If these banks fail, they can have a disruptive effect on the economy, and DSIBs are categorized under 5 buckets, and according to these buckets the banks have to keep aside additional common equity tier 1. Understand this very. Common equity are the ordinary shares, the common stock. So based on that they have to maintain certain additional common equity tier 1 as a percentage of risk weighted assets. This idea of risk weighted assets is known to you, right? हाँ, कौन बताएगा what is a risk weighted asset? What is a risk weighted asset? What is the risk given to a personal loan? Too much to expect, sir. See, for a bank, asset is the loan that bank extends to anybody. That is an asset to the bank. Our deposits are liability to the bank. The loans by the banks are assets to the bank. When you say risk weighted assets, it means every loan that the bank gives to various category of customers, they are categorized under different assets. So based on that, a common pool of risk weighted assets is decided upon. So now the RBI is saying that according to these buckets, the banks have to keep aside the additional common equity tier 1 as a percentage of the risk weighted assets. So whatever risk exposure they have, over and above that, whatever is the common equity tier 1, additional to that, you remember the CAR, capital adequacy ratio, that is also based on risk weighted assets, yes or no? CRAR, capital risk to assets ratio, CRAR we call it, right? So it is capital divided by risk weighted assets. So over and above what you are maintaining for car, you have to maintain additionally. What is that additionally? We will see in some time. The DSIBs are mandated under special provisions and are closely monitored by the central bank to ensure their better functioning and prevent the indulgence of such banks in any grey areas such as money laundering. Very, very important. It means that not only they have to maintain additional capital reserves separately, they are under special eyes of the central bank to see that they do not indulge in any grey areas, which also includes activities like money laundering. The systemically important banks domestically are identified by central bank of a country and globally by very, very important Basel Committee on Banking Supervision. So Basel, for India, the Reserve Bank will take care, or the central bank of that country will take care. When it comes to globally reputed banks, it is the Basel that takes care of the requirement. At present, SBI is placed under bucket 3, HDFC and ICICI are under bucket 1. So this is what additional they have to maintain. Because these two banks are in the bucket 1, they have to maintain 0.20% of additional common equity tier 1 capital as a reserve, okay, as a percentage of the risk weighted assets. Because SBI is in the third bucket, 0.60%, it has to maintain additionally separately. See, understand this concept of bank run is in news. Bank run, economic global, see, over a period of time the Nobel awards have become more controversial. The Nobel award for physics this year is given on a topic called that the entire world is a Maya. They gave Nobel Prize. We told 5000 years before that this entire world is a Maya, and in 21st century people are getting Nobel Prize to tell that the world is a Maya. So you remember abstract reality and all, I spoke about metaphysics in the ethics class. So understand, now people are getting awards for telling what we have written in our scriptures thousands of years before. So that is why there is a book, no, Max Muller ki. There is one book by Max Muller. In that book Max Muller says, if it is any issue, any topic or any discussion, if it is globally what you call acclaimed as it has happened in the past, you will definitely find the reference of that in Indian context. If it has not happened in India, it has not happened in the world. So he says the cultural evolution, scientific evolution, he keeps India in the center of the world. बोला अगर इंडिया में हुआ है तो वर्ल्ड में हुआ है, अगर इंडिया में नहीं हुआ है तो वर्ल्ड में नहीं हुआ है. India as the gate, something, I am forgetting, very small book, 95 pages short book, not much costly also, one must read. Max Muller is the guy who also gave your Aryan invasion theory, you know. He is the guy who spoke about, and he is the same guy whom Ambedkar, you know, admired too much. All the learnings of Ambedkar, it is said, through Max Muller's teachings only. So Max Muller is very important person to be read. So he has written many books on many dimensions, but on India he has written certain dimensions. Okay? Now, this is why, because we want these banks to be guarded with due diligence, because more people are dependent on them. If at all there is a bank run, that will happen. Coming back to that, bank run is what? People running towards the bank to withdraw their money. There is a potential risk that the bank may fail to return their money. So this economy, this year's what you call Nobel Prize on Economy is somewhere related to bank runs. So that is when this topic becomes important, because we are trying to ensure that even if a bank run happens, this percentage of money is available to be given. Because when you go to the bank and when you want to your money to be, see, understand this, if you have money in your savings account, it is a demand deposit. Hello, there is something known as time deposit and there is something known as demand deposit. Demand deposit means whenever you go, the bank is duty bound to give your money to you. Time deposit is only after the lapse of time. Now, if I have 30 lakhs or say 1 crore in my savings account, right? I go to the bank early in the morning and I say I want my 1 crore back. I have a right to ask for it because it is a demand deposit. But the bank can always say, because sir, it is early in the morning, my liquid position is not so good, can you wait till 12 o'clock in the afternoon? So that some deposits may happen, I will try to manage from those deposits to be given to you. The bank can always say this. Though it is a demand deposit, but it is a high value transaction. Though it is a demand deposit, the bank can always tell you, sir, please wait for some time, I will make some arrangements. So understand, if 10,000 people standing outside the bank to withdraw their money, what will happen? A lot of chaos will happen. One cooperative bank issue happened now. कोऑपरेटिव बैंक महाराष्ट्र, भैया यूपीएससी की तैयारी कर रहे हो ना? विच बैंक? बॉक्स. I am telling you, if you are not connected to your surroundings, UPSC is not the exam you should prepare. You should know everything that is happening in the world. In the world, not Ashoknagar. In the world. ठीक है? चलो, next topic. This we have covered mostly. Yeah, again in news, sovereign gold bonds, because the government recently, how much gold bonds to be issued through the RBI, it has decided. Can anybody explain this? There is a restriction on the gold, no? Which, how much an individual can purchase. Sovereign listen, gold, bond, sovereign, 3 words. हाँ, sovereign का मतलब government backed or government issued, we can say government issued. Gold, as we know, what is the idea behind this scheme? To reduce the import of gold, which is having a negative effect on your dollars, basically current account deficit also and the dollars also. But it did not become successful because in India the mindset is जब तक हाथ में ज्वेलरी नहीं आएगा वो satisfaction नहीं आएगा. So that is the reason why probably the only country in the world where the male also wear jewelry, where the male also historically, more historically, not in the, but even today also many male wear jewelry. Now when we talk about this idea, so it did not hit the Indian audience because of certain dimensions, like it does not give you the possession of physical gold. That is one dimension. What is the meaning of the bond here? It means that it is a debt. It is a debt instrument. This you need to understand. It means government is also using this as a platform to raise some money, giving some interest. कितना है इसका 2.5 if I am right. The gold bonds will get you 2.5% of interest per annum. But now to ensure that people do not pump lot of money here, so that is the reason why what the government has done, it has put some restrictions on categories of investors, on individuals, on the family members, on the trusts, on the universities. Certain restrictions have been put, and the restrictions are each family member can buy the bonds in his or her name up to 4 kgs, and when it is a trust or a university it becomes 20 kgs, and when it comes to the interest 2.50% fixed rate per annum it will give. Now very important, issued under the Government Securities Act 2006, very important, the Government Securities Act 2006. This is how the government is trying to, you remember this word yesterday I explained, securities, basically monetizing a document is called security. So Government Securities Act 2006 they are giving, and these are issued by RBI on behalf of the government. And very important, even a minor can purchase a sovereign gold bond, but it will be made by his or her guardian, the guardian can, but minor has been made eligible to purchase a gold bond under this particular scheme. Okay? Very important. World Economic Outlook report by one of our important organizations called IMF. Lot of findings have been given here with respect to India. Topic number 26. Okay. Very important. He says more than 1/3 of the world economy will contract this year or next, while the 3 largest economies, the US, European Union and China, will continue to stall, means stagnate, will continue to stagnate, and inflation remains the most immediate threat to current and future prosperity, where he is saying that inflation may touch as far as 9.5% in late 2022. This is when the report came. IMF has sharply cut the forecast for global growth from 6% to 3.2%. Very important from prelims perspective. The IMF forecast for the global growth has been cut from 6% to 3.2% in 2022 and again 2.7% in 2023. That is why yesterday I told you that sweet spot, India is the only country which is there in that sweet spot, which is getting bigger growth rate when compared to other countries. Because of the challenge, it will be the cause of challenge to the global economy, Russian invasion of Ukraine, broadening inflation pressures and the slowdown in China. So it says that this is the biggest challenge here. 2 dimensions, one is the slowdown in China is a challenge, and also the Russian invasion of Ukraine is also a challenge. And what does it mean for India? As it says, the GDP growth rate is better and inflation is not that high. For the month of March, we have come down 6%. So it means that when the world is projected to, the inflation is projected to be more than 9%, when it comes to India, it is hovering around 6% plus minus 0.25 points. So that is why India is not high and the growth prospects are better. Homework for you, box IMF forecast of India's growth rate 2023-2024. IMF forecast of India's growth rate. Some important problem areas for India. One, it says that the higher crude oil price is one important, and the fertilizer prices will also important point, which will be increasing. Global slowdown will hurt the exports. The moment the global slowdown will happen, it will hurt the exports, dragging down the domestic growth and worsening the trade deficit. It means because of the global growth contracting, our exports will contract. If our exports will contract with a stagnant or increased imports because of the cost of crude oil and fertilizers increasing, my trade deficit will only increase. So that is how is the biggest forecast for India. A strong dollar will put pressure on the rupees exchange rate. Yes, this is the reason, the strong dollar. Then also, given the low demand among most Indians, the government might be forced to spend more. See, in any economy, if the growth is led by the government, it is always said it is not good, because the growth is not the responsibility of the government. The growth should be the responsibility of the private players. The government should be concentrating technically on the welfare dimension, the developmental dimension, and not on the growth dimension. But in a country where growth is spearheaded by the government, it means that the government is diverging from its primary responsibility of ensuring welfare or egalitarian society. So this will continue to happen in case of India. Very, very important. Prelims perspective, Cantillon effect. Topic number 27, Cantillon effect. See, listen. When we talk about inflation का 5-7 slide देखते हैं आज होगा या कल होगा. When we talk about inflation, we always say inflation is a क्या है? Inflation क्या है? Rise in the price of goods over a period of time, not instantly, right? Now, if this rise of price in goods is limited to certain segments only and not overall the economy, it is called a Cantillon effect. For example, can I say in case of India, the prices of petrol, oil and lubricants have increased in higher proportions than other food prices. The tomato is still available for 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 15 rupees a kg. The tomato is not available for 400 rupees a kg. But the petrol prices have gone strongly high. So it means there is an example of Cantillon effect in India also, where the price of certain commodities has gone spiked very high. Can I take the example of gold also? So when inflation is seen more strongly in certain segments of the economy and not overall, it is called a Cantillon effect. What it says? The Cantillon effect describes the uneven effect inflation has on goods and assets in an economy. Uneven effect. And it says, since new fiat money is injected into an economy at specific points, its effects are felt by different class and different entities at time. Now, when we are talking about the Cantillon effect, we are talking about this effect as a result of introduction of money into the market, additional money being pumped into the market. As a result of that, this effect would be seen more. This causes a distortion in relative prices and benefits certain parties while disadvantaging the other, because not all prices will rise by the same amount or at the same time. It says that, and as a result of Cantillon effect, inflation can be seen as a non-legislative and regressive tax. Understand the meaning of this word. Non-legislative and a regressive tax. Because you are not increasing through the channel of legislative act increasing taxes, but it is giving an effect of a regressive taxation. If the amount of petrol increases, the amount of money that you will spend on transportation charges will also increase. So it is indirectly it is creating an effect of regressive taxation. So that is how he will link the question Cantillon effect with taxation. So understand this, in the prelims the question will come with respect to Cantillon effect as a result of what? Uneven effect, and result what? Regressive taxation. It will give an effect of regressive taxation. It will give an effect as if it is a regressive taxation in a particular sector. Okay? So he will try to link 4-5 dimensions and ask you a question. Bank run, we have already covered this.
Sir,
Yeah.
how can Cantillon effect happens with due to injection of money?
More, say for example, government decides to infuse 10,000 crores in the market. The government infused 10,000 crores in the market. Government may have an intention, maybe certain segment or industry is facing the problem of money. Say for example, iron and steel industry is facing the problem of money. But when the government releases money, will the government tell that this money is for iron and steel only? Is that channelization possible? No. The money will come into the market. Whether, because when the government is releasing money into the market, the money is going from the government to the banks and from bank to the end customer. Now, bank has decided to give this money to whom? Is the big question mark. Though the government released pumped in money, the fiat money was pumped in by the government. The money came to the bank, SBI. But SBI noticed there is lot of stress in the iron and steel industries. SBI felt, I will not give money to this because there is chances of default is high, but the gold sector is doing well. The amount of rise in the gold price is high, and lot of gold people are asking me for money to invest in gold sector, buy gold and again probably make jewelry and sell it. So the RBI will, instead of channelizing it to iron and steel, it will channelize it to the gold sector. That is how okay. So it will happen. General inflation will happen. But because the gold, you are pumping money is indirectly going into gold. If more people are purchasing gold, more industries, more jewelry shops, people got money from the bank. The gold market supply is more or less equilibrium. But if more people go to the wholesaler to sell the gold, will he increase the cost or reduce the cost? For example, this is SBI, these are jewelers, he is wholesale gold merchant who is giving gold in bricks and bars, right? The gold is moving like this, the money is moving like this, yes or no? So when the money came here, money was meant for iron and steel, but did the money go here? No, the money did not go here, but the money went here. If there are 100 jewelers, if the bank has given loan to 100 jewelers, where will these 100 jewelers go? Yesterday only 20 jewelers came to buy the gold, today suddenly 100 jewelers came to buy the gold. Will he continue to keep the price of the gold same? No, he will, the moment he will increase the price, there is an, got it? So that is how, where the movement, kabhi kabhi kya hota hai, the movement happens in real estate. Sometimes the movement happens in certain segment of industry, textile or something. So when this happens, okay. So when this happens, that is when the Cantillon effect is visible there. So it is an uneven inflationary trend in the market because of the introduction of new currency, that you need to understand. Bank run we have already covered as part of the bank run. You have heard about this DICGC, deposit insurance. and Credit Guarantee Corporation of India, DICGC, one of the subsidiaries of RBI. ठीक है. Earlier the insurance was for only 1 lakh rupees. Now the insurance is for 5 lakh rupees. Topic number 28, bank run and deposit insurance. Now understand, when I am depositing my money in the bank, any commercial bank, SBI for example, my money is say for example in my account SBI, I have 20 lakh rupees in my savings account. Now what is the amount of money guaranteed to me return? But I have deposited 20 lakhs. No? When I know that the bank is liable to pay me only 5 lakh rupees, why am I depositing 20 lakhs? Got my question? When I know that the bank will only give a certain amount of money, when I know that the bank is giving only a certain amount of money, why am I depositing more money? Why am I depositing more money? Security. Am I interested in the stability of the bank? सेविंग्स परसेंट 2-3% में क्या आता है रे? बाहर मार्केट में देगा तो महीने का 1% मिलेगा तो साल का 12% है ना. मार्केट रेट इज 1% मिनिमम. इफ आई गो टू द मार्केट एंड आई वांट टू रेज 1 lakh rupees personal loan today, the interest rate varies from 1% to 3%. Generally 1% to 3%. There are people who are taking 10% also per month, not annum, per month. But why is it that I am still wanting to go to the bank? Not interest rate. I am going to the bank for the purpose of trading. Trading in the sense, because trading in cash is restricted. So if you want to grow, you have to have a bank account per force. In a way, the difference between current account and savings account, I hope you are aware, current account does not give you any interest, but still I am putting my money in the bank because it is easier for me to use that money for different purposes. So the bank is channelizing that money into the system forcefully by telling you any cash transaction beyond 10 lakh rupees is prohibited. Yes or no? That is the reason why the moment you withdraw 10 lakh rupees from the bank, the report will be sent to by the commercial bank to RBI to hello, cash transaction report, CTR report goes to FIU India. Hello, please write Financial Intelligence Unit India. The report goes to FIU India. This is called CTR report. Similarly, there are something known as wire transfers. Your online transfers are nothing but your wire transfers. Any movement of money beyond 5 lakhs across the borders, this report also goes to the FIU India from the commercial bank to RBI, from RBI to FIU India. This is called wire transfers. So the CTR report, wire transfer reports also go to the FIU India. So this is how the entire banking sector is controlled. The bank is forcing you to deposit money not for the sake of interest, not for the sake of security, for the ease of trading, for the ease of carrying out trade. This you need to understand. This guarantee is only of 5 lakhs. Now understand this. If in a bank, SBI only, if I have two accounts, one is joint account with my wife, one is independent account, both the accounts separately are guarded for 5 lakhs each, provided the money is more than 5 lakhs. This is also a condition. ऐसा नहीं है कि 1000 रुपये रखे और 5 लाख रुपये मिलेंगे, ऐसा नहीं है. More than 5 lakh it goes to Tirupati Hundi. Technically it will not happen, but still I am depositing the money in the bank. ठीक? Yeah, very important, this doom loop. See, understand, banks are like spine of the economy. Banks are the spine of the economy. Because they are spine of the economy, anything going wrong will affect the bank in the economy. So the doom loop is saying that is the circle of vulnerability where a country's banking system can be severely hurt by volatility in the economy. So it means to say that banks over a period of time have become center of the economic transactions. This will happen the more your economy becomes organized, the more the importance of banks will be felt, because everything is happening through the channel of banking fraternity only. So anything going wrong, it will have an effect on the bank, right? A country is at risk of a doom loop when a shock to one part of its economic system is amplified by its effect on another. Very, very important. Can anybody give an example? Can anybody give an example? How? For example, just for an example, there was a company which was exporting a pharmaceutical product. A company was exporting pharmaceutical products and was getting good money, Now suddenly rupee got appreciated against the dollar. इसमें इस कंपनी का कोई रोल था क्या? नहीं था. But the moment rupee got appreciated, earlier because the value of rupee was less, people were buying more from you. The moment the appreciation happened, the Chinese product became cheaper than the Indian product. The moment China did what it did, it devalued its currency. My currency got increased with respect to dollar, my business got affected negatively. So what happened elsewhere had a negative effect on my particular industry. This is called a doom loop situation. A country is at risk of doom loop. Now it is from a perspective of a country. Country is at a risk of doom loop when a shock to one part of its economic system is amplified by its effect on the another. So now I gave you a micro example of an industry. Put that example from the country perspective. Can anybody give an example to this? Oil price. Excellent. Oil price is one where you can say all the sectors of the economy which are dependent on that oil will have a negative effect on that particular thing. So it is called a doom loop situation. Ethics ka doom loop, we will leave it.